ballers on YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptile, but today isn't actually about ball pythons. Today is about something totally different. I can't wait to share it with you. I'm so excited to show this animal off, but first we got to set it up. It also has the honor of being the first live animal to move into the new reptile house. So here we are at our new facility, and here's a very basic cage. I'm going to show you how we set this animal up. I'm then going to move the animal into there. I'm going to share it all with you, so stay tuned to find out exactly what it is that's going in this cage. First and foremost, this is not going to be its permanent home. Yeah, looks a little janky, but we needed a place to stick it, completely quarantined, right? It's the only one in here, and it will be just set up where it's safe. We do have some really nice, don't mind the cough, we do have some really nice cages we're going to be getting in that'll be like, I would say display quality, where when we get this room fully set up, it'll be full like LED lit displays. It'll be really, really awesome. So first and foremost, we'll show you what's already on here. I used to actually use this cage. I take it and give it a quick bath. I didn't like trying to make it look pretty. I just sterilized it and cleaned it. What we've already used is a couple of these Zoom Med clamp lamps and a 100-watt infrared heater. It's a little cool in here, so we're doing a 100-watt heater. We already have that going. On this one, it's just going to be a light for display purposes. It doesn't really do anything else. So let's go ahead and start setting this thing up. The first thing we're going to need is, of course, a solid substrate. Now, the species I'm setting up actually does really well on desert, but because of this one's got a little bit of some special requirements, we're going to go with the coconut, which is much more, holds humidity a lot better than like a sand would, and it's going to be very soft for it to crawl on, which is also something I really wanted. I think it'll make sense when you see the species. So what we have here is just a standard reptile prime. You can use any coconut you really want. This is kind of just my favorite. So we're just going to add some great big old gobs of it in here. I'm going to get yelled at for making a mess, but I can vacuum that up myself. I'm a big boy now. Actually, because where I went to eat last night, I'm actually a really big boy. Like, it was like, went to like a freaking meat buffet. Whew! Restaurant week in Kansas City. Sorry, Chief fans, by the way. I know you're kind of having a crappy time as we film this, but as a Viking fan, I can tell you, I've been there, and it gets better. Not really. All right, so we got a good substrate base in there. Yeah, we'll go a few more handfuls. The next thing we're going to want for this species, you know what? Let me just take this completely off of here. I'm going to turn this on the side because that 100-watt heater is low. I don't burn anything. Get this clamp in here. We just want to make sure this is all well distributed. We're going to give this snake a place to hide. Not really a place to hide necessarily in its heat. I like to use a rock for this species. The reason being, in the wild, this species would come out of a hole or something that goes typically underground, find a rock that's been heated by the sun, and lay on that rock for heat. So I'm going to place that rock right down there underneath its substrate. We're going to put actually a larger water dish than is probably necessary for this species. But again, because I think this particular animal is going to do better with a little bit higher humidity than normal, that's what we're going to go with. Let me take a quick break to get some water, and we'll be right back here. All right, guys, so the water's there, the heat is there, display lighting just to make it look nice from over here is here. There's a place for it to hide. No reason not to show you the animal now, right? So let's go ahead and get this out. Here goes nothing. Wish me luck. All right. Come take a look at that in the bucket, Kurt. This is an animal that I am so excited about, YouTube. And I'm going to promise you, most of you have probably never seen this. A few of you, I'm sure, have. But this is the first one I've ever seen other than just photographs. Come on, little buddy. There you go. He's going to hook nice. Whoop. Get the tail there. And the feeling on it's just crazy. Because look close. Let me get this up here for you. There's no scales. So what we have here is a scaleless western diamondback. And if you look at that tail, there's no rattle because it can't form scales. Let me tell you, the feeling on this snake is just, it is crazy to feel. It changes the pattern, really cool. I'm almost shaking because I'm so excited about getting the snake. It's just a beautiful, beautiful animal. Put it right there, drop that hook, get it on some heat. And again, this is one thing where, even though it's small and likely cannot crawl out, we're not going to ever give it a chance to bite us. So, there we go. heat up that rock and turn on the light so you can get a good view of it. There it is, guys. A scaleless western diamondback rattlesnake. Now this cage is not secure, and again, why is some of the things I was talking about wanting to go with a very soft substrate because it's scaleless, although it does still retain belly scales. However, they don't have any scales on the top or the rattle. But just less stuff for them to get scratched on, a little bit softer. Higher humidity should help it shed, more humidity than like normal, so we didn't go with the desert sand. Everything else is pretty much normal. Spot for it to hide and feel secure, spot for it to come out and bask, which it'll probably use here pretty quick, and a nice big water dish again to assist with shedding. Now for security purposes, obviously this wouldn't do. We're just going to use these clamps. These clamps work really, really well. Typically you'd want an animal like this locked, but since the only person in this place is me, and I'm not going to stick my hand in there, it's not really going to be a problem for now. The specialty cages we have coming do certainly lock, and these will just grip onto that corner, push down, lock down on there. 2 would do it. We bought 2 extra to put here and here just to be a little extra secure. So there it is, scaleless western diamondback rattlesnake. Question girl, any questions?
You brought this over in a Venomous Reptiles tub
Yes.
from the shop.
Yes.
If you were normally transporting a venomous reptile, would it be necessary to use a tub like that?
Yes. The reason you want something marked, and you don't have to go out and get all fancy. I've had other things that I've marked. You can mark them with red tape. I've written on them. You want to make sure everybody that comes across it knows that it's dangerous and that it's, there's something in there bad, just to avoid accidents. So it does certainly need to be marked pretty well. Look, you can see its belly scales there are sticking up just a little bit with the cloaca. So yes, you want to make sure it's marked and easy for people to tell that it is something venomous and something deadly. Very important. Anything else?
Yeah. The log that you have in there, can that potentially damage a scaleless snake?
The log?
Or, yeah.
It shouldn't. I mean, it should be able to crawl in there. It could crawl on top of there. It's pretty smooth and worn. It's nothing jagged. I mean, scaleless snakes have actually been found in the wild, so I think they're a little more, I guess I would say they're not as delicate as people think. However, you do want to be a little more careful with them. But they do feel weird.
Do you need to keep the temperature on a scaleless reptile different than one that has scales?
No, you're going to keep the temperature pretty much the same. And in this case, it's going to have some pretty good thermal regulation in here. We went with a pretty high wattage. Like this is a 100-watt bulb, but this is also a fairly tall case. We're trying to push down to the bottom. If we find the temperature still too cool, we would run a heat mat there on a thermostat as well. So,
on feeding a scaleless snake, do you need... When you feed it, I know that rat bites is something that you're conscientious with your current
absolutely.
Scaled snakes.
Mm-hmm.
So what preventative measures can someone do with a scaleless animal when feeding their weekly meals?
Well, I'm a big proponent for live feeding. However, in this situation, what we will end up doing is we will attempt to get this snake onto frozen thawed just for that purpose. So when you're dealing with, I'll get a camera shot there so you can see that. When you're dealing with one of these, I want to take a little bit of extra precaution, and a pre-killed meal can certainly do that.
Now, on this snake, because it is a scaleless rattlesnake, what about the rattle and the buttons? How does it, will it make a rattling sound, or how does that work?
It can never rattle because the buttons, the rattle, are actually specialized scales that form. So this snake, being scaleless, was born without the initial button and will not grow new links. If you look right now, its tail's up, and you can see it's kind of blunted. Now the funny thing is, because they are a rattlesnake, they still have the instinct to rattle their tail. When one gets angry, or threatened would be a better word, it's going to stand up in a western diamondback pose. And if you look close, its tail will shake. It's not as dramatic as the end of the rattle is. It's just a part that actually shakes it, but it does vibrate, and it shakes its little butt like it's making noise, even though it isn't.
That's it.
Okay, Kurt, any questions?
No.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm so happy I could share one of my dream animals with you, my scaleless western diamondback rattlesnake.